Hello and welcome to a Roblox theory. In this video, I will show you my evidence of how I think Nikilis died. Now if you have no idea what I am talking about, let me show you the evidence that I have compacted so far. As you can see, right off the bat, there is the statue of Nikki in the front, obviously. And also, if you look over here, you can see Xylee pointing a gun down this hallway. Now that's suspicious. How often do people point guns down hallways unless there's something dangerous? Suspicious. I won't get back to that. Now, if we look across the hall here, we can see Xylee on the toilet. Now, you are usually not on the toilet unless that is your house or where you work. So we can safely assume that that is rather where Xylee did work or does live. And obviously it's in a very tall building, so we can assume the setting of Murder Mystery 2 is inside of the city. Or at least this map is. Yay, free stuff. Now our next thing of evidence is this broken toilet. As you can see, there's literally water spewing out of it, and I find that suspicious. Now if you look at the bank map, unlike Office 3, the desks do not have pictures of the creators on them. So we do know that they only work at Office 3 and that they do not work at the bank. But the interesting thing about the bank is Thex. Obviously, Thex is trying to rob the bank, and as we can see, there are still tickets in the bank. So this is obviously taking place at a later time frame, and I did not know that those moved. I have never paid a lot of attention to that. But also, what else is interesting is this: if we come look at the front entrance here, as you can see, this is supposed to be the front entrance. There are statues of Nick here in the front of the bank. So what bank do you get your statue in the front? The bank that you own. So this bank, it's actually owned by Nikki, and so that means that Office 3 rather has to take place earlier in the timeline than Office 3, because in Office 3 Nikki is working at an office. And also, as you can see, all of these hats are on the wall, so they have clearly met at this point. Well, thanks Ninja Cool Dog, that was very kind of you. Really appreciate that. So, apparently, Nikki goes on to open up a bank, and that's very interesting. And as we can see, we can tell that this place has to take place sometime when South Sudan was not a country. So this was a long time ago, as you can see. So that puts us really far back in the timeline, because South Sudan is not here. So, very interesting. Let's go to the next map now. Now the fact that a sheriff only can actually open up this vault makes you wonder, like, why would you set it up that way? Unless the owner of the bank, Nikki, intends to set it up that way so people could just get into the vault, which brings up a lot of suspicious circumstances that I will get into when we are compiling all the evidence into one story. Oh, thanks, Awesome Doge. Yeah, shout out to Awesome Doge for giving me that free seer. Now for Biolab 2, this is the interesting one. As you can see, this thing is here. We'll get back to this in a second. Just know that this thing is here. But the interesting part is this. As you can see, every single person is in a test tube. And it's not like you can just get out of this. If you are in here, you are stuck. So clearly this one has to be the latest in the timeline, or else they would not all be here. Like, I mean, everyone is here. Who put them here? Everyone that we've covered is in here. So that brings up some good points. As you can see, it's owned by Eyiss Quinn, and if you don't know this, Eyiss Quinn is actually Xylee. That's his old username. So we know Xylee owns the place, but this was obviously a while ago. But everyone's already dead, so maybe there's time travel involved, but I doubt that. This one's still the latest. And still is. Oh, thanks. Alright, looks like I'm getting another seer, this time from GPR. I've gotten literally 3 seers today. Wow. Thanks, GPR. Now, obviously, as we can look in the evil lair, he is stealing your knives. So he knows how to hack, that's for sure. He also has body armor and a bunch of knives. So Xylee has a bunch of things that he was hiding from everyone else, at least. And it looks like rather he was uncovered and he just had to kill everyone, including himself. Or he was just mad and he just killed everyone and then he didn't want to deal with the consequences. But again, we will get to that after we uncover all the evidence. Now, Office 2 you would expect to be earlier in the timeline because it has a 2 in the name and that's before 3, so you would think it would come before Office 3. Now here's something interesting. This mug, it says Roblox Intern 2010. Now if I would know whose desk that was, that would give us a very strong point. So we do know it takes place after 2010 at least. But we know that Sedan became a country in 2009. Now Mansion has to be the map with the least amount of evidence on it, and also the fact that it's not a mansion. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but this does not look like a mansion at all. Like, what mansion has a computer lab in it? I can't think of any. Not even like really rich mansions have entire computer labs in them. Not to mention, like the kitchen is this, and some guy's spamming across the screen. But yeah, this is not a very ordinary mansion, I would say. It's almost not a mansion. Almost. Not to mention, all the paintings on the walls do not line up with the rest of the paintings. These are just paintings of random people. So, other than this map having like no evidence on it, it has loiterers on the walls, which is something you only see else in Hospital 2. So rather, this is a dream sequence. It places very late in the timeline, because I can't really find any times or anywhere in the map. But we do have this massive stack of papers here. So yeah, other than the fact that this map is very strange, doesn't really have any evidence. Now on the hotel map, if you look in the sink, you can see that the water is frozen. I can stand on the water and I will not fall into the sink. And obviously if the water is frozen in the sink, something bad has happened. So that makes me believe this has happened later in the timeline. But then you can see that the water is also running here because this is running and I can step in it. So the sinks are frozen over and the fountains are fine, which is basically what they do in like prison camps to make everything look fine, but if you go backstage then they're not really fine. Now if you look over here, as you can see, here is its queen again, and as you know that is Zyleek. But why would his name be behind the desk at the front door unless he is the owner of the hospital, or unless he just works in that exact spot? Then why else would his name be there? So obviously he has some relationship to the hotel. Now hospital is interesting because we actually get an exact date of when it takes place. And also this sign is suspicious. Quarantine, no entry removal, use deadly force authorized. That is a very suspicious sign to have up in a hospital. So yeah, we actually have the exact dates. We know exactly when it takes place. We can look at the computer screen here, as you can see right there in the corner, 5 o'clock on November 7th, 2014. Now that is by far the latest date that we've officially had. So this could be one of the later maps in the game, right after Biolab, or because it makes it look like there's a zombie apocalypse. Because why else would you have that suspicious sign up and there's a murder? But yeah, if there's a zombie apocalypse in the late timeline, that would be very interesting. Because how often do people lag out and glitch to kill you from 5 meters away? But also, do you have a zombie apocalypse and your timeline that's not even supposed to be a zombie game? No, the workplace doesn't actually have any outright clues. This has to be the hardest to decode map. So the only thing we really have to run off is the employee notice, which asks you to please stop repeatedly standing on your desk. These desks are not for standing and cost money to replace. That is a very hilarious sign, and other than that, we don't really have anything to run off of. Also, Park Connect was here. Yeah, other than that, and Park Connect was here, there really isn't any other evidence, so yeah. And since we don't even know who Par Connect is, that name is not very well known. Obviously, it's probably just some random guy, and as you know, Mansion also has a bunch of random people in it, and so we'll have to put that together too. Really good. See that. Now, military base has a few things. As we can see, Xylik is in a tank. Yeah, and also we have these two buildings, which if you don't know are actually outside of the lobby, which I'll show you in a second. As you can see, there are the two buildings outside of the lab. So, and also, what else is very suspicious, I probably won't go that way because the murder's down there, I'll just go around and I'll show you when I get there, is this thing. Now, if you don't remember from earlier, that was in Biolab. And since we know the military base is on the surface, we will have to know that Biolab is actually under the military base. And Xylik is in a tank. So, that makes me to believe that Xylik is in the military. And he's doing some top secret military stuff right now. That is very suspicious. And don't worry, we only have a few maps left to cover. And this story will almost be unveiled. And then we can show you the whole thing in full. All the pieces are coming together, but I gotta shoot this guy first because he's killed everyone else. Where are you at? Gotcha. Yeah, can't touch me. I'm stuck in the back of the movie theater. Run away, run away, run away. I got away. Take that. Alright, this is deja vu. No, this happened again. No, run to the back of the theater. You can't catch me. Dun 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 dun. I did it. Deja vu. Deus now look. Wow. Did you see the ending there? That was strange. Yeah, but actually what I missed before on the mansion is that these computer screen and this computer screen and this computer screen are all something different from the rest. If you notice the rest, they're all rather off or something else. So it does make me think that maybe there was some meetup here, because it could just be a distant memory that the only thing they remember is the computer lab, and really outside the windows just like disappeared. And that would explain a lot if I stopped dying every time I'm trying to explain something. Got him. Now here's a giant compact of notes that I was taking. Now the 3 maps we didn't get to is Lab 2, House 2, and Mine Shaft. And I've been trying to get to them for an hour. I can't get to them, so I'm just going to explain to them here. So obviously, my Xylik is still alive. It's at the very top of the mine, and you see that it was boarded up. You try to go out, you can't. Xylik does, and also that little locker thing is like really out in the middle of nowhere. If you're looking, and Vampire is just shorty. I didn't know that at the time. House 2, very wealthy house, and blah 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 blah. All right, let's get into the story now. A long time ago, Nikki and Xylik have enrolled in a computer class, which is where they meet, and the only thing that they had to remember from this distant memory is a not very accurate memory of it. After graduating college, Nikki and Xylik both land a job in Office 3, which is where they meet the rest of the admin crew, one for each picture on the desk. Xylik lives across from the building, as noted by him on the toilet. Nikki goes on to open a bank. Xylik goes on to open a hotel. Xylik's hotel doesn't do very well. The water keeps freezing over and no one really likes it. Xylik gets jealous of Nikki. He was the one that had all the smarts, according to his opinion, and Zylik joins the military in the secret. Zylik uses the military base's basement as a secret base, which is also known as the Biolab. Zylik grows to despise Nikki, but he can't do much about it. Zylik buys Lab 2 as a server farm to gather more information about Nikki. Nikki, on the other hand, buys House 2, which was the turning point for Zylik. He pays Thex to rob Nikki's bank. Nikki cannot afford this, but it doesn't matter because the zombie outbreak starts. Zylik seizes the chance to invite Nikki to Office 2, which is where the zombies will get to them. Nikki saves himself from the zombies and gets to the hospital to see if he is okay. Zylik can't believe that Nikki survived a bunch of zombies and kills him in the hospital, and then he drags him to the biolab and puts him in a test tube. Now at this point the zombie apocalypse is getting kind of bad, and Zylik is going mad, so Zylik goes after everyone else that originally worked at Office 3, everyone that he despised later on in his life. After killing all of them and putting them in a test tube, Zylik runs to the mine shaft so he can disappear. But unknowing to him, Jordy survived the initial killing, and Jordy was going to get revenge. Jordy finds Zylik in the mine shaft and kills him and puts him on display like his victims were. Part Connect never was killed by Zylik, but he knows what Zylik did, and when he saw Jordy walking out of the mine, he thought Jordy was Zylik. So he does the same revenge, but he kills Jordy instead by accident and puts him in the test tube unknowingly until he finds Zylik in the test tube. Which then leads us to the player. Why are there murderers in Sheriff? What is the meaning of the player? Well, each map is a reenactment of the killing. The players are trapped in a replay of the murder scenes. The hospital map is where Nikki died, the mine shaft is where Zylik died, and the rest of the maps is where someone else died. And that is the theory on how Nikki died.